Good afternoon. Welcome everyone. Hey, Heather's back. Yay. The world can return. The Obvio world can uh return to its axis as it's been spinning out of orbit for nearly 2 weeks.
It's been fun. It's
How
been
are
less
you?
than 1 week or less than two
Well,
weeks, I should say.
it felt like a month.
It
All
felt
right.
longer. Yeah,
That's
it
I'm
all
felt
I
so
say.
longer.
sorry.
Yeah, you leave Grant and I in control, and things go to poop right away.
You
Exactly.
survived though. Did you die?
We did.
No.
We're still here, but there's like 17 users who have decided that they're no longer going to be asking questions.
Oh, like that was a waste of time. Let's wait
Yeah,
till Heather's back,
yeah, exactly.
pretty much. Did you
So
have a good time?
I did, yes. It was good. I had a family wedding that I went to, and then I was able to see most of my family over there, so it was good.
Nice. Very good. All right. Well, uh, hello, Blue.
hello.
How are you? We um we we can show a new little feature, can't we? Can we? He says.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, are you talking about the thing, the
Yeah, the
summaries?
thing,
Yeah, yeah.
the summaries. Yeah.
hmm
So there's we've added a new little uh in Zoom. Lots of people would know there's the AI companion uh thingy that goes along, the little bot that can. Uh,
Thingy is actually their technical marketing term for it
that's
too.
right. Thank you.
If you are researching what this is and you Google Zoom AI thingy,
Thingy.
you'll almost certainly get the right page.
Wow. Wow, we're on. We're on for today. Yes. So what we know is that there are two key outputs that Zoom gives, and it normally is just on the recordings page. That's sort of built into to Zoom access that we don't fully have access to through the Zoom accounts in the way that you know how to access the recordings, but they do make those two files available. The two files are a summary of essentially the transcript has been passed through to Zoom, and it can do a transcript and do a summary of what the call or what the whole meeting was about, and also the next steps is another um, uh, kind of feature that they have, and so we've now made those both available in the recordings drop down. So I can give you a little look at that. If we look at this event, only the only disadvantage with looking at this event is that it takes a little while to load because it's been going for a couple of years every week. But it will show. I'll share you. Give you a little look at this. So that's just pulling in lots of recordings on this event. Um, it even gets confused with how many there is with the order as well. Uh, this reminds me, Blue, we need to put the year in these recordings. We haven't worried about that before, and for most people, it's probably no issue.
Yeah,
But now,
technically recordings go away after about 2 months. So
yeah, if those 2 months happen to be December and January,
if you can't figure out that December is last year and January is this year, I don't know that there's helping you.
Blue, have you had a good day today?
I
Did you?
I it's been an interesting day. I'm sorry. Do I seem a little off?
No, just
I'll
look.
reset my attitude.
I'm a long way away, And so if I need to be like a virtual punching bag for you, just like as a bit of training, then that's totally fine. I'm all right with that. I'm not close enough to be a real one, so that's the good thing. So we were September 18th, 11 last time. I was going to try to look at last week's because um, wow, that's really out of. Let me see here. We've oh,
We're really crushing this.
yeah. I'm just building the suspense. There we go.
That's awesome.
Here we go. And then if we come, so all the normal recordings that people are used to seeing, and then show the AI companion. And here we go. So I wasn't around last week. And so now we get a summary of what the call was last week. Led a weekly call to help participants improve their knowledge and address questions about using Obvio. Wow, sounds impressive. The team discussed various features such as opening Zoom rooms, live streaming to YouTube, creating dashboards, and managing multi-day events with fluctuating attendance. They also discussed the integration of different platforms like StreamYard, Zoom, and CRM's CF2, and the potential use of a magic link for texting out. It's pretty accurate.
Crushed it.
And then the next steps. These are really interesting, and it works very well. And for some people that depending on how you're using Obvio and how those if you're doing regular events, this is particularly handy to sort of get these summaries of what happened in the call. So some people have been asking to be able to access this, and so we've made it available now. So there you go. That's how you find it.
And something just for everybody to know, in order to actually see that, once you launch Zoom, you do have to turn on the AI companion, which is a Zoom feature. It does not turn on automatically. So
did you start it last week?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a button, there's a main button there that says AI companion, then it says start summary. You hit that, and then that will start sending the transcript data through to Zoom to process.
Yeah, it's a little kind of star-like looking icon, generally next to the share button, unless you've moved your buttons around.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yep. And it's not something that can be turned on retroactively, meaning you can't get an AI summary from Zoom anyway using the transcript of yesterday's meeting. You could download the transcript of yesterday's meeting and upload it to ChatGPT and get a summary that way. But my guess is it's probably, actually, I have no idea if that would work, how well that would work. But bottom line, yeah, this is using Zoom's built-in companion feature, and it just needs to be turned on when you launch the meeting.
That the downloading transcript and going to ChatGPT actually works really well. I have done that before. And so it processes it and it knows who you can ask it other questions as well, like who were all the people that spoke, and then like what how many words did they say and things like that. Like there's lots of analysis that you could ask based on the transcript. But the main thing is like a privacy thing that Zoom is saying, that we're not going to just have AI listening to everything that you're saying in your meetings unless you specifically or explicitly give permission at the start of your meeting or whenever you want to do it during your meeting.
Yeah, and the other thing on that window that you probably saw really briefly is next to the summary and next to the follow-up items, or to-do list or whatever that Zoom calls it. there's a little copy icon. So that information is in Obvio to start, but if you want to pull that out into a Google Doc or your own document, you can do that by clicking the little copy icon. That'll copy it and then open a Word file, a Google Doc, a Notes doc, whatever, and paste that into it. So that's how you get the information out of Obvio and into the platform of your choice.
Good one.
Yeah, and then Muddy posted a screenshot of a feature that we're working on, but is not yet active, even though you may think it's active because you see it, which is email statistics. So something that we've all been wanting for quite some time is the ability to have a little bit of visibility into broadcasts after they were sent. How many emails were sent? How many were opened, clicked? There's a couple of other stats that we are providing. So it's we're not yet at a point where we're giving individual delivery, meaning if you want to know if a specific attendee got a specific email, that's not there yet. That is something that we have on our roadmap. But the first one was just overall statistics. So you can see, oh, look, I sent 2,400 emails to in this broadcast. And that makes sense because I had 2,400 attendees. And then the ability to see some of the open rates and other pieces of information like bounces and stuff like that. So that stuff is coming. It technically there is an icon on the broadcast page right now, but if you click on it, it won't do anything. So you can click on it and wait for as long as you want. It will continue to just simply spin. Pardon me?
Yeah.
I said it spins. That's something.
Yeah. It does. It spins. It's trying to let you believe that it's calculating.
Thinking.
It's thinking about it, and it is. It's definitely thinking about it. The problem is it doesn't know how to resolve that thought. So yeah, it's almost there. We were all just hoping that you didn't see it, but Muddy's keen eyes did find it.
Nothing gets past Muddy. Well done. So if you have questions, if lots of you have already put questions in, the most efficient way is to put that through the dashboard that you came through, the ask a question button. If you can post your questions in there, and that way we can sort all of those and manage that and not miss them in the chat. And so we've got a few there. What have we got first, Heather?
So this is from Carol. She's not on this call. It looks like she posted this after last week's call, but she just wants to know where she can find her organization.
Yeah. So when you first log into Obvio as an admin, you'll see your organization. So if you go to app.obv.io, the first screen, once you've successfully logged in, the first screen that you see is your organizations. Everyone has one organization as a default that's there. And then an organization is a collection of events. And so when you click on the organization, you then see your events. Now, if you are a pro user or a Leap user, then you will have access to have up to 3 organizations. And it can be very helpful to sort or group your events into separate organizations. And that gives you a few things. It's organizing your events into groups. It's also managing your team and the who has access to all of those events. And then it's also your broadcasts, the emails that you're sending out are the organization settings for emails is what's set for the events within that organization. and then also payments. Once we're doing more and more of the marketplace, then the Stripe account that's tied to that is tied to the organization, and so that's how those organization settings work for that. So some people might use one organization as just a test bed, like a sandbox, where you create a whole bunch of test events, and that it's sort of segmented away from all of your production main, live events, and that's where you can play around. And then you have another organization that's all your main events. Anyway, so that's how you'll find it, going through app.obv.io. Once you log in, you'll see your organizations there. Next question.
Yes, so Onric had an event today and his broadcast reminders and the welcome emails did not go out. He said then afterwards, some people got the same email about 7 times or so. They've been reported and blocked, but he wants to know what our advice is on how to fix that, as it might affect deliverability in his future.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to tackle it, Blue? You're still muted.
Yeah, that wasn't a problem on your end, Onric. There was nothing that you did. That's a problem on our end, and the team is working on it. They're still trying to figure out exactly what took place, because there are a couple of issues with broadcasts right now.
Okay. So, Onric, can you just tell us, was the process that you went to in creating that broadcast? Was there anything weird that happened during that, or was there what was the process you went through in creating that broadcast?
No, I copied a previous one, edited it, then changed it from draft to enabled, changed the time. Just as per normal. I'm a frequent user of the feature, and it just wouldn't go out. And I noticed that something was funny when the welcome emails didn't go out either, because I was sending myself, an updated welcome email just to test. And I'm like, where the hell are these things gone? So then I realized that the broadcast wasn't going out either. So I then quickly jumped back in to Go High Level, scheduled a broadcast there, and sent that out. And then, of course, right after that, 7, 8 Obvio emails came out, at which point I got reported and my IP address was blocked and shit like that. So
your IP address wouldn't have been blocked. It wouldn't have affected your send whatsoever, because emails from Obvio come from Obvio. They don't come from you.
Yeah, but doesn't that badly affect everybody else? No.
I mean, given the amount of emails that we send out, yeah, it's not fantastic, but it's not the end of the world.
Gotcha. Because
the reputation will be fine. It'll be able to manage that. So the thing with the welcome email was actually a separate issue and has been fixed, which is good. But yeah, we're just trying to.
They're actually connected. It's not
you
fixed.
Think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're still working on it, but yeah. I was just interested, and not to point blame at you at all. It was just working out the sequence. And so even knowing that you copied a previous one, there might be something in that. We've got to look into that. So
yeah, I mean, I noticed that there's something else that is off whenever I try and change anything on the main settings of that event. Like I'm trying to, for example, turn the that you can just do login without a password on the settings page. It then says this slug has already been taken. And I'm like, I'm not trying to change the slug. It's just every time shows me that red error message. And then I'm like, maybe there's something weird going on here.
Those are unrelated bugs. So and that probably needs to be brought to Mike. Remind me what organization that is, Onric.
Boom, I'll get you a link right now. And then I thought maybe it's because I've been doing a little bit of account maintenance lately, moving things into the right organizations and stuff like that.
Probably not.
Go.
Oh, yeah, that'll be the problem. It needs to be disorganized. So all of your events need to be just randomly placed. I'm joking.
All right, Blue. I dropped that into the chat with you so that it's. 3978.
No, just the name.
Oh, CC, Capital Cafe. So that is cc.obv.io.
The CC.
Well, that doesn't narrow it down, does it?
That's the event name.
Yeah, I know that's what I was looking for the slug.
Yeah. Yeah, CC.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slug is CC. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when I do a search for CC, that brings up every single slug that has two C's in a row
That has
in it.
two C's in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna guess that there's another event that is also using that slug, and I'm trying to figure out what that is in this moment. And it's probably an old event on Rick. And it has to do with, there are some instances of older events. Yeah, here, I found it. Yeah, this is, give me a second. Let me fix this for you.
Look at Blue go. He's on the hunt.
I actually can't fix it, unfortunately. This has to get fixed inside the database. Grant, can you look up in organization 263?
Mm-hmm.
There is an event with the slug CC. It's the, if you just look up in the event table, look up courageous and creative. Or actually, if you look up CC, you're going to see two, because you're going to see the cafe and you're going to see the other one. The other one, just change it to CC_old, and that'll solve his problem. And then we need to document that. It has to do with the fact that courageous and creative was created before domains were an option.
Yeah.
So that's why it's happening.
Lou, are you a fan of the way Russell did that with his recent challenge of no password and just letting people in by email, because there's fewer stumbling blocks?
Yeah, we did that for TVE. I turned off the password step as well.
I quite like that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it does still require the user or the email address to be in the attendee table. So there is a check. It's not just letting people in. But when you do turn off the password, the password requirement, I think the setting is technically called allow email only login or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually a big fan of that particular step. It is a little less secure if somebody knows your email address or whatever, then maybe they can get in, but they'd have to know your email address and know that you registered for the event and be trying to log in as you. Like, what are the chances for a short-term event, right? I mean, we're not talking generally, like I would probably leave it on for like a mastermind or something along those lines. But if it's just an event, or especially if it's a challenge or a webinar where the goal is to get people in, like you don't really want to have any barriers to entry, then yeah, that's why we put that there.
Okay, that's fixed now, Enrique. You should be able to make changes.
Yep, it worked. Perfect. Thank you.
Look at that. Solving problems.
Who needs developers?
That's right. Exactly. All right. Next question, Heather.
So the next one is also from Onric. He wants to know if you can show him how to use the groups to work to allow for any conditional content, like for VIP tickets, other than menu buttons, or if he should just continue to work with tags.
Yeah. So it depends where they're being created first, right? So you're using high level, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have, Onric, a question for you? Inside of high level, do you have custom fields that identify specific subsets, or are you using tags in high level?
Well, because I don't know how groups work, I built it all out with like tags, for example, for like VIP. So if somebody buys a VIP ticket,
forget about how it works in Obvio. How are you doing it in Go High Level?
I have groups for the types of clients that they are. So private bankers will go into a group, financial advisors will go into a group, and so they're basically grouped by their type of business.
And are those groups, is there in high level? And I'm asking because I actually don't know high level inside and out. So in high level, is a group a function? Like, is there like, can I go to contact groups or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is that information won't come across into, like, the group information in Go High Level will not make it into Obvio. Because what we call groups inside of Obvio, High Level calls custom fields or custom properties, something along one. It's one of those two. So what we bring in, or what you have the capability of importing from High Level, is either custom fields. Actually, tags come across regardless of what you do. So any tags that you apply in High Level will come across into Obvio. From there, you can also specify specific custom fields that you have, or specific fields in High Level that you have to come across when a contact is imported. And that's in Obvio. What you do is you click Add Group, which I know is a little confusing. You name it in Obvio, and then you select the field from High Level that you want to import. But it won't, there is no functionality to import whatever that group function is from High Level into Obvio. That doesn't exist. So what I would recommend you do, like what I would do if I was in your shoes, is I would use tags inside of High Level, because that'll be the best and most consistent and easiest way to work with it inside of Obvio.
Cool. So for the translation into the Zoom thing, right? At a minimum, it needs a first name and a last name and an email address, right?
So technically, we allow contacts to be imported, not created, but to be imported through services without a first or last name. What Obvio requires is an email address. Now, what happens then if you have a whole bunch of contacts that you've imported into Obvio that don't have a first name or a last name? When you look at your attendee records, you'll see null, null. Okay, that's what it'll show. When those people go into Obvio, they will be given
attendee or something, right?
Yeah, I believe the first name is Obvio and the last name is attendee.
Yeah.
So they will be given that name if their name doesn't exist. There's a couple of other little things around null first and last names. If you happen to have the waiver step turned on and you're having your attendees sign a waiver, but you imported somebody who doesn't have a first or last name, then below the waiver, but above the signature, there a first name and a last name field will appear that will be required in order for the attendee to move forward. So that would that then, once they enter that then saves the first and last name into the contact record in Obvio. So those are just a couple things to be aware of. But yeah, technically Zoom does require a first name, last name, and email address, even though Obvio doesn't require, through service integrations anyway, a first and last name. But because Zoom requires it, we have to assign one, and it's a default.
No, because I've got a particularly interesting challenge there, but you can bounce me to the end of the call for that if there's time left on that. I don't want to take the whole space here.
I feel like the less I have to talk to you, the better, Henrik. What
Oh,
just go ahead, knock it
well,
out. Knock it out. What's
I'm
the
just
question?
glad. I'm
No,
glad it's being
I'm
shared
just messing.
around,
What's the
Rick.
second question? What's the second question? Or the third?
I have a particular place where I want people's aliases to show up in the Zoom meeting, not their first name and their last name. So then when I started messing with it, it like screwed up my database. And now these people showed up in my mastermind with their aliases. And of course, one person chose the alias two dogs, beep, 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 beep. And now they showed up in a $150,000 mastermind with that name. And it was particularly embarrassing. So I'm trying to
hold on just for a second. Two dogs, beep, beep, beep.
No, it was just really one big beep.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Because I was trying to think of what the three beeps would be. I kind of felt like I knew what it was if it was just one, but
I was just
So first off, interesting people in your mastermind, Henrik. Second, so the only way to do something like that, where the name that you import into Obvio is not their first or their last name in high level, would be to use Zapier, because if you do that, you can trigger an import or an attendee create through Zapier from Go High Level, and you can then map a custom field where you have saved their alias in another field called alias, as an example, in high level. You can then make the alias field the first name field in Obvio on create. But that is only possible through Zapier if you want to automate it, or through a manual import where you
I did that, and then because of the sync button is on, it then pushed that field back because I need the magic link to come through, right? So then it kept running in a circle and pushed it in, and then I'm like, well, I just exhausted my brain here.
Yeah, no, the bottom line is you're not going to be able to use the high level integration and that particular flow with Zapier or an import, because the sync will revert it.
Yeah, and that's what it did, and then it pushed the aliases back through to their first name, and that's how we all got a good laugh out of it.
That probably didn't happen exactly like that, but sure, yes.
Well, I messed with it so long. I messed with it for like 6 different ways. So I probably have like three different synchronizations going.
Yeah, it could be something that you did. But Obvio, we call it a sync, which implies that the data goes two ways, but it's not really a sync in that way. First name and last name and email addresses are not pushed from Obvio back into high level.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll help me a lot. I appreciate that.
Yep. No worries.
It's funny how the things that we built, we built Obvio. One of the things that we wanted to handle was the names and make sure that we're seeing people's names rather than things like iPad and other random names, or iPhone. And then the further we get down the track, it's like, I'd really like to be able to control the names to be not first name and last name. So it's all these different use cases that you can't account for. But it does bring up that how powerful Zapier can be for you to mess around and take different fields instead of the first and last name. You can sort of match those with anything you want. So anyway, next question, Heather.
Brenda wants to know, is there the ability to host a LMS within Obvio? If not, how do Leapers integrate courses for their offers?
Like a learning management system.
Yeah. So the short answer is no. An LMS would be a separate platform. I'll tell you what we do at Sage, and then I'll also tell you what we did previously, both of which you could do. We happen to use membership.io, which used to be called Searchy, for our Leap membership hub. And then we use an Obvio dashboard that is for a Leap event. And what we then do is our live calls take place on Obvio, and all of our pre-recorded content that they have access to, that Leap members have access to, lives in the membership hub. So that's how we do it. And the two things currently don't talk to each other, although membership.io has made a few changes to their platform that allows for the two systems to talk to each other a little bit. Inside of membership.io, there's a feature called attributes. Attributes is the same as custom fields. And what you can do is, using Zapier, you can, and this is something that we're going to be doing for Leap, we just haven't done it yet. You can take the custom login URLs, the magic links for attendees, and write them to an attribute in membership.io, and then take that attribute and assign it as the link in a button on membership. So what'll wind up happening when you log into your members hub in Leap is there'll be a button that says access your Obvio dashboard. And when you click on that, it will be the link that you'll be clicking on is technically your login link that we normally email you, right? So those are all things that came about on the searchy side of things. The ability to write to an attribute from Zapier, as well as the ability to link to an attribute using merge fields, are all things that came about as a result of some work that we did with them last year. So yeah, hopefully that helps. You can also do essentially the same thing with a few other platforms. Previously, we used LearnDash, hosted on a WordPress site. So I just happen to really, really like Searchy and its functionality. And they recently added a community feature that we are actually looking at. We're contemplating, this is like early stages, so don't get excited or upset yet, either way. But we're contemplating moving away from the Facebook group into a community that's hosted within the membership hub. So there you go. Little things to keep in mind. And they keep doing more and more stuff like that to make membership sites more usable and more customizable. So
it's very exciting to me, because I think that Facebook is a dumpster fire now, and so it's it'll be nice to separate that out. Facebook have intentionally, they used to have a groups API, which was really handy because you could pull data out of it, and I had integrations that worked really nicely that would, when someone posted in the group, it would post to Slack and give me a notification, and I have all the details there. And they turned that off, and I think they turned it off because they want people to go through the main the main page and get all of their ads and all the extra stuff that it shows up. So
yeah, Facebook groups have definitely become less and less useful over time.
Yeah, they're still kind of the de facto group,
Well, it's free
usage,
and everybody has a Facebook account. Like pretty much every person on the planet has one, even if they don't use it every day. I know it's not every person; it's 1 out of every 4, but still, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, you're totally right, Muddy. Like, most people are there, but some people aren't, and it's when you're able to say, we have our own little walled garden space, that you can come to.
Yeah.
Then I think it's better. So
I think for me, the piece, just to extend this conversation, that's not at all about Obvio even further. The piece that we are probably going to wait on until we actually do make that move is custom mobile apps, which membership.io is also working on and have released in beta to a small select number of people. So I have a call with them tomorrow, actually, and I'm hoping to get access to that. Because if we can, and the key to the reason why apps are important is notifications, right? Because what we want to make sure we do is that our community, and this is something that you would want as well, if you have a high ticket offer, if you have a membership, you want to make sure that that community remains vibrant, right, and remains active. And one of the things that, and one of the reasons, like Muddy said, that people continue to use Facebook notifications come to my phone when somebody posts or tags me in a post inside of the Facebook group, right? And I can then just click that and I get right into the Facebook app and I'm looking at the post. So if we can't recreate that experience, that exact experience, actually, we won't use it, because I want to make sure that we still have the ability to maintain notifications with individual members, and and the ability for them to have easy visibility into what's going on, so that they continue to post. All right,
Yep.
on to hopefully a question about Obvio.
Linda wanted to know if there's a tutorial in the hub on how to create a sales page from the blank template. I do have a YouTube video where we went through Marketplace. I don't know if that would be the best way to help her. I'll throw that in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, what I would probably say is, why are you trying to use the blank template? And even if you don't want it necessarily to look like one of the pre-designed templates, I will tell you what I find when I'm trying to use a new platform. What I find most helpful is being able to see how somebody built it, so I can just make changes to it, and selecting one of the other templates. And I would probably go with, was it called Simple Sales Page, I think? The Simple Sales Page template is a pretty easy to use and modify template, and would be a good starting point, because you'll start to see how sections and blocks inside of the builder work. And then, yeah, go ahead, Heather, and post. Actually, there you go. You already did. Thank you.
Our next question is from Robin. She wants to know, is there a name for the color keys? I used the same numbers when building my website on Mastermind, and they were not the same shades. I'm wondering which numbers to use for my swag. And I'm assuming Obvio also, Robin, not just your swag, right?
Yeah, just if I have to send it to the printer or something, I want to make sure the color is correct.
Yeah, so no idea whatsoever. I know, generally speaking, that, yeah, on websites, hex codes will be the same. The codes that we use are universal. Now, interestingly, that's not to say that what it looks like on my screen is going to be what it looks like on your screen, which is probably the problem that you want to solve for with printers. Now, professional printers will use PMS
Pantone.
colors. Isn't it called PMS?
Well, there's Pantone
Pantone.
as well, which is Mary was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's big dramas now with Pantone, because it's all licensed to Adobe, and people are moving away from it because they've got to pay for it. So anyway, that's a whole printing thing. You've also got the difference between RGB values and then CMYK for printing, and so
Yeah,
those.
I think
those
what you
values
probably
can be
want to do,
different, but
Robin, is ask your printer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you guys order your stuff or whatever using your corporate colors,
Yep.
do you give them a copy of the actual color somehow?
Yeah,
Along
we have.
with
I
PMS?
have, for colors that we want to be specific, or that are specific, that are important to us, we have PMS codes for them.
PMS. Okay. So that's not the same that's an Obvio. I thought they would all be the same for some reason.
No, but you can probably take a hex code and do a Google search to convert, hex colors to PMS codes.
So
Okay.
You'll probably
we're talking about the same thing. PMS is Pantone matching system.
excellent.
So,
well, there you go.
yeah.
We are saying
So it
the
is
same
the same
thing.
thing, but yeah. So yeah, you might find some licensing challenges with that. It depends on the print.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's where it comes back to talk to your printer. And I will tell you, how something, when we print something, like if I look at the boxes that are sitting behind me, how these looked on our screens is never exactly how they show up when printed. So what we generally try to do, if we have the wherewithal to do it, is print a sample so that we can see what needs to happen. And honestly, that's the only way for you to know for certain if what the color that the printer is going to be using is going to match your vision, especially if you're printing on something that isn't paper.
Okay.
Because even like when you're printing on something that isn't paper, like let's say you're trying to print on, a little piece of wood, as an example, or you're trying to print on the back of an iPhone case or something along those lines. Even if you give them a PMS code or a hex code or CMYK code or whatever they ask for, RGB, when they print it, their printer may not have the capability of matching the color that you've provided in the tone that you were thinking. So if you're printing on something that is not, well, honestly, anything that you're printing that's really, really important to, get a sample. But especially anything that is not paper, because those are always going to be most likely going to be a little different than what you're thinking. And it's nice to not be surprised by that.
Yeah. When I copied all the numbers down when I created the dashboard, and I thought I was doing good, but then when I did the website, I'm like, oh, this doesn't look right. It's close.
Well,
but
websites and dashboards, like the dashboard to another website, that if you're using the same hex code on both platforms, it'll be the same.
Oh, it was different. It was a bit off, like close, but not, you could very much tell it was the same color.
You got a number wrong. So there's no way that will show differently unless, as Blue referenced, you were looking at two different devices. So if you open those the two websites with exactly the same hex code in them on the same computer, looking on the same screen, they will be identical.
Yeah, they weren't actually, and
then it could potentially be an opacity issue, Robin, because if the opacity is not set to 100% on both, like if you have the same hex code but the opacity on one is 99 and the other one's 100, you now have two different colors.
Oh, okay. Because I was tweaking it until they looked the same, and I thought the numbers would be super close, but they were very much not the same.
Yeah, no, hex codes make no sense to me. I have no idea what they actually mean. I never try and guess a hex code number because honestly, there's no way. I know two hex codes and I get them confused all the time. I know black and I know white, and I honestly confuse them every single time.
Well, I'll look up at the opacity because I didn't even think about that. Maybe that wasn't the same. Thank you for telling me.
Yep,
appreciate it.
It's a hexadecimal is not linear, and so that's not how it works. Now we're a long way away. Hey, should we talk about paint colors? How do you match paint?
Well, it was on Obvio. It came from the dashboard, so
fair enough. I think Blue nailed it talking about opacity. That's good. All right, next question.
So Muddy has a client who's having an event with about 10,000.
Well done, Muddy. Muddy has a client.
Excuse me, I'm talking, Grant. He has a few hundred VIPs and he wants them all in room 1. He wants to know what the best way is to set the rules to ensure all the VIPs go into room 1, but others can go into room 1 as well. They will wait to enable other rooms until each room gets to about 800 people.
Yeah. Nice. So Muddy,
I figured it out.
Yeah, what you have there is accurate. Yep. So you just to show what Muddy's doing, and what I will say is for most of you, this is a feature that you'll never use. This is definitely an advanced level move for people who are running more than one Zoom room and want to be specific about users who go into specific rooms. But essentially, the same way you can use rules to display dashboard elements to specific attendees, you can use those same rule types to route people into specific rooms. So Muddy's first condition there checks to see if they're a VIP. If they are, then it sends them into room 1. And then it says, and if they're not a VIP, then go ahead and send them into any of rooms 1 through 9. And much like labels, there's a priority level around that. So only one rule will ever apply. And if you have more than 2, you want to make sure that the most important one is at the top.
And if we only have 2 rooms open, it'll just go to room 1 or 2, right?
You got
and
it.
then
Yep.
because this is a weekly or a recurring call, I have reassign on offline set up just in case they were in room 3 on day 1, but we only have 2 rooms open on day 2. Okay, cool.
100%. That makes perfect sense.
You got it. And the key to what you did there was that none had 1 in it as well, to allow people to go into 1 as well. So that's the key.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah, that's a subsection of all of our users have multiple rooms. Only small number of people use multiple rooms, and then another very, very small number of users would be using rules like that to manage who gets into what room. But it's a very cool feature for our large events, which we've used extensively and love it. It's amazing how much control you can have.
Yeah. Something to just keep in mind, Muddy, that room 1, the system will still try to balance the total number of people across all rooms. But room 1 may wind up with more people in it if your general admission attendees show up first and everything gets, like if you have most of your general admission attendees show up and then your VIPs show up, which incidentally is the least likely scenario because VIPs generally are also the most excited and show up more consistently. But there is a small chance that room 1 has slightly more people in it than rooms 2 through 9.
And in fact, they want the fewest number of rooms possible.
Yep.
And so they're going to wait to even open room 2 until they get to about 700 or 800 people, and then open room 2, and kind of, because it's trying to balance, theoretically, the next 800 people are going to get put into room 2, and then they'll open room 3 if need be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless they're VIPs, right?
Unless they're VIPs, in which case they'll go into room 1.
Yep.
And you're going to want to keep an eye on your total number of attendees in room 1. And if you ever get up to like 980, you're going to want to delete that rule so that VIPs don't get an offline message if you get to 1,000.
Okay, good call.
Yeah, you want to think about how many VIPs have not shown up yet, and leave an allocation for them in that room.
Yeah.
And actually, when I just looked at it, it's like 100 VIPs total. So
Okay.
if we plan to turn room 2 on at 800 people, then we should have plenty of room.
Should be safe, exactly. And that's assuming that 0 of the 100 are already in room 1, which isn't likely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Are you doing breakout rooms on that?
Quite likely, but I'm actually not running the event for him. I'm just helping him get everything set up.
Right.
So, don't know.
Well, it's just worth flagging that if you're thinking about if
Yeah,
they are doing breakout
I
rooms,
talked to them about it, how
those
big
rooms
we
are.
want the rooms are. Yeah, and again, they've got 10,000 people registered. It's a complete unknown how many will show up each session because it's multiple sessions. So, yep.
Cool.
Good work. Next question.
Yeah, so kind of on like that same line, Onric had a question about having the separate rooms, which he found easy enough to create, but what was challenging for him was how you get the main stage video and the audio in there. If you could kind of explain that.
I'm gonna let Grant take that one.
Because you've taken it so many times. So this is the thing, is that Obvio is all about handling your attendees and getting your attendees into Zoom. How you get into Zoom, how you get all of your production video is kind of on you, right? And so if you have to go to multiple rooms, and this is you have to interrogate your reasons for going to multiple rooms. As Muddy was just talking about, he needs to go to multiple rooms because of the numbers. And so if you're looking at having over 1,000 people, or based on your breakout room numbers, you might, more than 600-700 people, you may want to go to multiple rooms. In order to do that, you now need to get your audio and video into both of those meetings independently. And so that becomes a production issue, so, and there's many ways. We've talked about all these different ways a lot. And Henrik, you would have heard us talk about different ways, production techniques for doing that. It comes down to how are you creating your show in the first place. If that's software based and you're using sort of a virtual webcam that gets that into Zoom, then you've got it's a bit more challenging to be able to then have another computer that's also getting that same feed. You've got to get that in somehow. There are hardware techniques, so when we talk about ATEM switches and things, where you can have that ATEM connected to multiple computers, either directly or with a splitter, with an HDMI splitter and then converters, getting that in. And then you need to think about audio and how the audio is also getting into both of those. And perhaps it's embedded. And if it is, that's great. And then the big key thing is about interaction, thinking about how do you, if you need to talk with people in those meetings, then it gets more complex when you start to think about, can someone talk in room 2 and they are heard in room 1, and vice versa? And if that's the case, then we get into a world of talking about mix minus. That's where that's where room 2 only never hears themselves back, right? So you're not sending the same audio that they're sending out. You're not sending that also back to them and then getting a loop in echoing and that sort of thing. And so that's where you have to have some system, often a mixer, a mixing board that is handling that. It has a separate audio feed that's going into each one. And so you see how even just going to 2 rooms, it can get complex. What you can do, a few tricks on that, is that you could say interaction only happens from room 1, which means that you can send the same audio. You're just pulling the audio from room 1 and sending it into room 2. Room 2's never having to send audio back to room 1. So that can make it a little bit easier. So there's a few things going on, and that's generally if you're in a position where you need to go to multiple rooms, then it's a good time to contract some people, some production people to help you do it. And there's quite a few that can help you. I can help you. Muddy can help you. That we have where we can do multiple rooms, and we've got it all set up where they can talk to each other and that sort of thing. And that's not to say that you're not capable of it. It's just coming down to what is yours to do. And if you've got that many people, you've probably got the budget to be able to pay some people to make it happen. Is that kind of answering it, Henrik? Yep.
Yeah, no, that was very, very helpful, because last time I did it with a splitter and I split it that way, and I obviously didn't think it through. And then I realized, hey, the guys from Zoom room 2 were not, I wasn't hearing their audio. And oh, shit.
That's right.
So anyway.
And look, some of these big shows we do without any audio interaction from the audience, right? And that now comes down to a programming thing. And it can be that you're going to do interaction mostly in breakout rooms. People are going to go into breakout rooms and talk to each other. They don't need to be talking on the main stage.
I'd love to be able to take all the people who don't have their cameras on and move them to the the rejects room, but
the sin bin.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sure. All right. Next question.
So Lion wants to know if you can explain the process of getting the link out to attendees for the purchase page. he sent a link out, but he thinks it might have been for an old event. And then he has a follow-up question with that. When he has a ticket for $0, the page works well. But then it might not show up when he refreshes it.
I'll let you take that one, Blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So first, was it turnaround is fair game? Okay. So let's first show you where to find the link to send people for marketplace pages. So when you are in an event and you go into marketplace and you go to purchase page, and let's just pretend like you actually had one set up. Then what you do is you grab the link right here by clicking the copy purchase page URL. And that will give you the URL. Now, I just created this page, so it won't have actually, it probably won't have won't render properly just yet. Oh wow, it actually did. But that's the link. If you ever, there is a rhyme or reason to how the links for your purchase page currently exist, and what it is the word store.obv.io. Actually, store.yourdomain. So if you've used bootcamp.live or zoomiverse.com, it would be store.bootcamp.live or store.zoomiverse.com, and then / and your event domain. So in our case, it's TVE8, right? If you go to our event, it's tve8.obv.io. So to go to the purchase page, it's store.obv.io/tve8. But if you don't want to remember all of that, just go and use that copy icon, and that's the email, or that's the URL you want to give to participants or to prospects that you're trying to convince to come to your event.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What was the second part to that question?
So, like Money was trying to help me with this. So currently, when I set the ticket price to 0, the page functions properly. If I hide or take it off of active, because he was just like, well, if you're going to have it at 0, you don't need to have ticket price there. But now when I go to refresh the page, it just shows up blank. It does not pull any information on.
Can I, what's the organization that you're working inside of?
AGL Practice One.
Is that the event name or the organization?
Oh, let me look. That's a good question. The organization. So I only have one organization, so it would be under Lion Flood Organization. I think that's it.
Okay. So, and it's, you said, sorry, it's, I see a couple, ALG Price One.
Prac One. Practice. Yeah. So I just use that one as practice.
Okay, got it. Cool. And do you mind if I just share my screen? Is there anything that?
Yeah, that's fine. No, nothing.
Great.
Sensitive.
All right. So purchase page. And what you're saying is down here.
Yeah, the very bottom.
Yeah, you have removed the ticket selector, or you're thinking about removing the ticket selector and just having that. So let's take a look here at your tickets. That's inactive.
Right. And what I found is that, like, if I just do one, then that page, when I go to check the live preview section, for example, it will not show. So that's why I have 2 tickets priced at 0, because if I just did one, it doesn't show.
Got it. I'm just removing those for now because I'm
Gotcha.
curious what it does.
The other issue that was happening is that upon signing up, it wasn't redirecting to the thank you page. It was
That was
flashing
fixed.
and then just
That was
nothing.
fixed. That was fixed overnight. That
Okay, cool.
we saw that, and it was a result of the upgrade page.
Ooh.
Okay, so Lion, I'm not having that experience that you were describing, because when I'm on this page, I'm seeing it.
Sure.
And,
So
and
what?
there,
I
sorry, go ahead.
apologize. We did it a different way. That could be why. So you deleted it inside of the box.
Yeah.
I take it out of the ticket function. So inside of the back end, right? So I go to the tickets page, and then I either hide it from the three dots or take it inactive. So I did it there. So
So
that could be.
are you saying that if I delete this, can I delete this ticket? Is there any?
Sure, you can. Yeah, you can delete that.
Okay, so are you saying if when I delete that ticket like that,
Mm-hmm.
it now will break if I refresh? Is that kind of what you're saying?
On my case, that's what was happening. So let me see. Go here, tickets. Okay, so
Yeah, that isn't happening for me.
okay. So we could have been fixing whatever thing that happened, but that was
It
what
could
was
be.
happening. See, so let me check this
But
out.
how the system is intended to work is if you only have one ticket available, you don't need the purchase selector in order for the system to function, because the purchase page, or sorry, the purchase form, like the system knows, oh, you only have one ticket available, so we're buying that one ticket. And it doesn't
Gotcha.
matter, it shouldn't matter anyway, if you have two tickets, but one of them is hidden, or two tickets, but one of them is inactive. That should result in the same end result.
Okay.
And the purchase selector, in what I did on your page, you had the ticket selector in two places, and I deleted both of them.
Got it.
Just so you know, you had it kind of halfway down where it just said your details and so on and so forth, and then you have it a little bit further down where you have a step 1, step 2, like pick your ticket. Step 2, complete your registration. But now that it's deleted, it seems like it's working. It's working for me anyway. So let us know if that doesn't work as expected for you.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for that. And then there's one more quick thing I didn't put into there, but I just noticed. Well, I noticed before, but it just came up to me.
Mm-hmm.
So on one of my dashboard pages, okay, so and this happens even if I refresh it, and I could probably show it to you better here. So I'll let you see. So on this dashboard page here, okay, so at the top it still has the town hall and the Obvio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
But on this page of my dashboard, it has my logo up there. But the other page still has the Obvio and
Which
one.
which dashboard is that?
That's still from the Prac one,
Okay.
one that we're in.
And I think it's safe to assume that you made that change a while ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be because of, I don't know if it's a slug or something, because it shows up correctly at certain points, but then if I take the link, copy it, and then paste it into something else, which I did here, then it shows up for the town hall demo.
I'm just taking a peek myself to confirm that. So what I think this may be is this may be a cache issue, like a local computer cache issue, because on when I logged in as an attendee, I see it correct because this is what you're expecting to see.
Correct.
So it may be a cache issue because, like I said, I'm seeing it how you should.
Perfect.
And here, I'll refresh the page one more time just so you see that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Do you have if you have the ability, are you using Safari or what are you using to display what I'm seeing right now?
Safari currently.
So if you open up like a new, rather than clearing your cache, which it can be a pain in the butt for many people, if you just use like what's it called, new secret window, like under File, there's a new private window.
Yeah.
And if you grab the login URL from one of your attendees and use it in that should theoretically bypass the cache, your local computer's cache, and it should function as expected.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That helps me out a lot. Absolutely amazing. And that's all that I needed on my end. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. And for the fantastic graphics that went along with it.
Luke, can I share a related question to that one? Or I mean, it's a kind of clarifying comment. Lion, when one of the things you said that I wanted to, you were saying that the way Blue changed it is by removing it from the ticket selector. And the clarification is what he did is remove the ticket selector content block. So ticket selector is one of the types of content blocks like photo or text. And he took that whole content block out of the purchase page. And I just want to clarify that, especially for anyone who's kind of new to the marketplace, that's that content block. And you only need the content block if you have more than one type of ticket. The other thing I heard you say is the way you were doing it was by kind of deleting the tickets. And my question to Blue is, if you delete or hide all of the tickets, then it would go to a blank page, right?
Yeah,
and it would.
Actually, that may be the issue. Like if, so sorry. Let me just share my screen one more time. So I'm going to delete this ticket right here. And now if I go to the purchase page, you're going to see a warning here down at the bottom that at least one ticket is required for the purchase page to function. Okay. And what we may find is that this page doesn't work. No, it worked. Although it's definitely going to be confused. Like if you try and register, like that's not going to function. And that's not functioning because there's no ticket selected. And there's no ticket selected because there's no ticket that exists. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure what was causing your white page. What was the ticket called? Sorry, I missed it. I deleted it.
It was called storytelling. And I can put it back in, but that's fine. But yeah, storytelling. Yeah, that was it.
Great. So I'm not going to bother with dates from and to. Yeah. Just going to leave it because there you go. So I put it back for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's absolutely amazing and such a big win for everyone.
Awesome. I really am easily pleased. Heather, what's the next question?
So Onric loves the way how in Panels template you can use an image for a button, but can Town Hall do that, or is he missing it somewhere?
Town Hall can do it, but not on all button types. I think I say that. And yes, that's correct. So, and I'm still on Lion's event. So, and he's using Town Hall. So I'm just going to use that as the example. But Onric, if you're trying to use it here, it won't work, right? Because these action buttons or this panel is formatted as one. And you can only use a color for that panel. You can't use a background image. But for buttons over here on the left-hand side or underneath the logo and description, you can do multiple things. First off, you can use an image as the button entirely. Or using styling, you can use the background as an image. So both of those are available inside of the top area of Town Hall, just not in the button panel that defaults to being on the right-hand side.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Cool.
And then Sarah, I see you have your hand raised. Was that for a question that came up from something we said that you want to address?
No, it was just a question that I had about, well, it's kind of about Zoom. So, can I share my screen?
Go for it. I agree with Muddy. Your shot looks fantastic.
Okay, so you can see that?
I can, yep.
Yeah, so I use Ecamm with my as my recording platform, and now it has this feature that you can use it in Zoom. And so I was trying to connect it to the Obvio Zoom so that I could use it, so that Dad could use it in his meetings.
Yep.
So the thing I was trying to do was I was taking this registration link, copying it.
Just that's a really solid guess. But
yeah, I know. I
but it won't
realized
work.
that it didn't work because it's like
Yeah.
just an Obvio link.
Exactly. So
So
the only way to do it, what I'm guessing, and I actually don't know Ecamm. I have an Ecamm account. I haven't logged into it in like a year. But what it looks like to me is Ecamm is using has created a new Zoom integration where you can just start a meeting right from within Ecamm.
yeah.
Do they still have a virtual camera feature that you can enable? I'm guessing they do.
Yes, they do. I'm not sure
Yeah.
where it is because I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure where that is, but they do have it.
But that's what you're going to wind up having to do. So you need to enable the virtual camera. And then inside of Zoom, next to the right above the button that is like start and stop your video, there's going to be a little up arrow. And you'll see the Ecamm virtual camera as a video source. And that's how you're going to have to do it. The native integration with Ecamm won't work.
Okay, so where was that again? Like above
Well,
the.
so first off, you have to enable click on output right up at the top. Virtual camera, and it says ready. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now inside of Zoom, I don't see your Zoom window, but do you see a start stop video button? You know, like in the toolbar of your Zoom window under the gallery.
Oh. Let me see. Sorry, Yeah, I know where that is.
Okay. So next to that, the video button, there's a little up arrow.
Yeah.
And when you click on that, you're going to see an option that says select a camera. And one of them should say like Ecamm virtual camera or virtual camera or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
And then once you select that, so if you do it now, then we'll be getting the video feed from Ecamm rather than from, yeah. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Well, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you'll be able to do that once you put in the Obvio.
Well, so the way it worked in this meeting is exactly how it will work in any meeting that you're in. You just need to make sure that when you launch Zoom, so you start Zoom from Obvio the same way you do normally, by going to areas and starting it from there. And then and you can stop. Actually, I'll stop your sharing.
Oh.
So yeah, then once you're in the meeting, you just use the little up arrow next to video and change your camera source to be the virtual camera. And you should be good to go.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. I don't know why we didn't even check that.
You
Thank
know,
you.
it's all good. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a question from Donna. She had one of the issues with the broadcasts and welcome emails. And as though they're sending now, she wants to know if there was some kind of timeline to know who may have gotten it versus who didn't. She had a lot of new signups in the past few days. So she wants to be able to send out welcome emails to them.
I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately. So what I would, if I was in your shoes, I would default to sending a broadcast to all of your attendees, making the assumption that none of them got it. And I would rewrite, if I was doing it, I would rewrite that email to include some sort of preface that says, this may be a duplicate. If you received this already, I apologize. We had some issues with our email provider. Right. So like I would acknowledge it right up front that they may be getting a second email, even though they haven't done a new action. And say, but this information was so important. I wanted to make sure you received it. Here you go. That's how I would handle it.
Awesome. So Nick had a question. I think I posted this in Slack yesterday, but he was having the issues with the cards template with the login page, showing up in the different areas, depending on the screen size. But he needs to figure out the graphics for that login page because he wants text on the graphic. But lining it up has been challenging. Do you have any suggestions?
I do. Yeah. So there's two things. Number one, Nick, there is a bug fix that is working its way through the pipeline. It'll probably be live tomorrow. That will change it so that the login information is always in the panel on the right-hand side. What's happening right now is if you change your window size, it is, once the page gets too big, it takes the login and puts it in the center, which I recognize is confusing and annoying. I was kind of aware of it. Well, actually, I was aware of it but we just hadn't changed it because honestly, nobody complained. But once you sent in that email, we asked the team to fix that so that regardless of size, that's how the login will appear. So you should be good shortly. In the meantime, adjust the size of your screen down to the point where the login goes onto the right-hand side and style with the assumption that that's how it's going to be going forward. Because by, like I said, hopefully tomorrow morning, that'll be the case for all cards templates.
Appreciate that. You talked about this last week when I was here, and I apologize, I couldn't quite find the exact spot, but we talked about the 69 ratio and the way to figure out the image because I have text on the image. So I want the login on the left side, on the right side. That's going to be great. But trying to line it up so that there's text on the image in the center of the spot that's left. So center of the image, so to speak. Just trying to find a best practice potentially for that. You know, and I know that there's different image sizes and all that stuff. I'm just trying to fit.
So it sounds to me like that text is important to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't add more
So
text to the
I
login
would
thing.
I would suggest to you that the best practice is not to do that. Regardless, because and I have a specific reason. Actually, that's not true. I have a solution for you. Just give me a second. I have to find a cards template. I wouldn't include it as a actually, what's your org name?
Exchange.
360 leadership, or is it a different one?
It begins with an X.
Oh, just exchange.
Sorry,
I see it.
apologize.
Yep, I see it. No, I got it.
And then conscious.
I just had to click next when I did my find thing. Conscious elevation, is that what we're working on?
Yep.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Cool. All right. So what I would do.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Everybody can enjoy this. You know.
All right.
It's a good time.
What I would do, is
I can just tell them we can't put that. Like basically, they're trying to do what we do to get people aware that they have to like be present.
Yeah.
We're trying to give them that participation agreement.
So what I would try,
I tried to make it left bound on this, and then I tried centering it with the resize thing for the graphic. So like I've tried a couple different rounds of.
Yeah. The problem is here's what I am concerned for you.
Mhm.
Is not desktop, it's mobile.
Mhm.
Because on mobile, there's no size that'll work properly because the cards template on mobile, like that's how it works.
It'll look like poo. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it covers up the other stuff. So yeah.
So what you could potentially do is you could export this image as two images. One, which is the Zoom background image, like just the Zoom gallery with the blue overlay.
Yep. Have that already.
And then export a secondary image as a transparent PNG with the morning or the miracle morning, conscious elevation experience powered by exchange, and this part in the middle.
Mhm.
And then put it into the logo field. My concern is I'm not sure.
It'll be too small.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that logo field will appreciate that.
Is there another template? Is there another template besides cards? I'm not tied to cards.
Yeah.
I know you're putting in
for what
fixed
you're
ones.
trying to do, I would use Nifty 50. I haven't looked at the dashboard. Give me a second, but based on what I'm looking at, I think it's probably Nifty 50 that I would do.
You may have already thought of this, Nick, too, but that all that text could possibly go as there's two options. One is the waiver step. So you could have all of that text go in before they go to the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
The waiver is, and you can turn it all off and just kind of have it just as a acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can lay that out really nicely. And it'll only happen for the first time that they join. So that's one way. Another way is that you can use a welcome pop-up on the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they first hit the dashboard, they get that text and it says, this kind of reminder, and it pops up on the dashboard. So that's another couple of options rather than trying to get it into here, but there still might be a workaround on this.
Yeah,
I'm actually with Grant.
We have a background that's just the background gallery screen. The feedback I got was that it just looked like a gallery with a right hand side thing, and so they wanted the banners and then they wanted the text. So I'm trying to find a middle ground, for this. So Nifty 50 might solve for my situation because it might return the login to be the middle, maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah.
I can use the straight up gallery background only and just get rid of because basically with just the gallery background, it looked very plain and it wasn't clear, even though there's big bold letters on the right hand side.
Well, and you know, if that's the case, what you could do is you could take this miracle more like, so what I've
I see
done,
what you're doing there. Yep.
yeah, like this is just a screenshot to give us an idea of what the size is.
Yep.
And you know, it looks fine at this size, but if I make it too small,
Can see it. Yep.
it starts to get really small, right? And that's the danger with text just in general on images.
Yep. Understood. 100%.
So here, let me just remove that from the logo. But what you could do if they're like, I don't like the I don't like the
Space.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably use the welcome pop for the text is probably what I would do. And then what I would do is I would create an image that is a white rectangle, like rounded edge rectangle, kind of like you have it, because I actually like those elements. And then I would put Miracle Morning Presents. You just have to get the presents reversed to be black. And then the conscious elevation experience, again, you'd have to change the and experience to be either black or another color so it's visible. And then get a black version of exchange and put it all within this white square.
Yep.
And then you'd have, I mean, I think that would work anyway. And then just do the blue background. So now that solves the problem that you're trying to solve for, which is this blue background just looks too blue and too harsh on the eyes. It gives you a break by putting essentially a logo in the middle and breaking it up a little bit. Yep. And then the welcome pop-up, how that works is you add a post and then you just toggle is welcome pop-up on in there. So I'm going to do that just really quick for this our agenda. And I'm going to click preview so you see what happens. So this is a cookied pop-up. And essentially the first time that attendees log into the dashboard, they'll see it.
Yep.
And once they close it, they won't see it anymore on that device. Okay. If they open up the dashboard on another device, they'll see the pop-up again. But that would give you the, you know, kind of like your commitment piece.
Yep. That's great. And I can give that a shot. And if we figure out they still don't want the blank space on the left, you know, the original one I showed them was the cards with the logo, with the login
in the center
box in the center. And one of them saw that it was like right all of a sudden. And so you're fixing a glitch, and that's nice. And I appreciate that. And it's saying, you know, the probably the preferred one would be just having it be in the center. So it's covering up that bluish area. So I might just play with, you know, if another one does that. If they're all right bound like that, then I'm right back.
They're not. They're all a little bit different. And so like here, if we go to, let me share my screen again. I'm just going to go into templates, and you know how I would do it is I would just, if you click on view sample dashboard, and once you're on the sample dashboard, if you just log out. So I'm going to click on that here and click log out. And we've clearly not designed this properly. But anyway, this has kind of what you're talking about, right? So you can put a logo over here on the left-hand side, and then you can have a little bit of text, kind of like you do. And then on the exterior of this white little bordered piece is a background image that you can customize.
It's a rotating background probably, right?
It doesn't rotate, but yeah, same idea.
Great.
The Nifty 50 template, again, I'm going to just click on the sample, and then I'm going to log out, and it's probably going to also, oh no, this one actually is. So this one is left, right. So but that's in alignment with the actual theme of the template itself. I probably wouldn't do this template for you guys, to be fair, because I think there's I think there's a potential for other issues. I definitely wouldn't do panels. Maybe you could do town hall. The town hall template, I believe, borrows the The login page. Yeah, the login page from Lefty. So,
all right, I'll play with it. Yeah, because the good thing about cards is that they're only going to stay above the fold. Likely, we want them to stay above the fold. Those buttons are made, so it's just a trade off situation that I need to talk with them about. And say,
yeah, I would tell you, Lefty is actually pretty. Lefty is designed to be a cross between classic and cards. Yep. Okay. And I'm not going to select it because I think that'll mess with you. But I will go to, where do I have a Lefty template that I've used recently?
So while he's finding that, the other reason that I suggested about the waiver step, Nick, was just that was the strong sort of verbiage that you had in the text about a real commitment to it.
Yep.
The waiver step can be used like that to really have an action, a positive action, which is I accept this, I agree to this.
Yep.
And it's not that it's legally or whatever, but it can be just like hey, we're super serious about this, and we've talked about this sort of thing before. That I think sometimes we with virtual events we dumb down and we sort of say, oh, just fit it in wherever, and then we'll give you a break to check your emails and things like this. It's like things that we would never do in person. And so I love the idea, and I love what the text that you've got there is. It's pushing that expectation further, and it's actually saying, no, we want you to commit, and we want you to have cameras on. We want you to engage. These are the things that we're expecting more from you and pulling more from you, not less. And so if we were in person, we would expect that you're not just sitting on your computer and doing emails. And so the same is expected on this. And as I've said another time, this event could literally be life-changing for you. And so by agreeing to these steps, we want to help you. And this is one of those ways. And so have a think about that. The waiver is more of a positive. It's not just a pop-up that you can close, but it's actually an action that people are taking. I agree to these steps. And then you can refer to that. Every one of you have agreed to the steps when you came in. So make sure you got your cameras on. You said you were going to, those sorts of things. So
great.
I'm not telling you how to suck eggs, but it's just
I appreciate the options because I'm going to get asked. So it's good clarity.
Right.
So
nice.
Nick, here, this is an example of Nick. This is a Lefty template.
Yep.
But we've extended the front page background pretty far down.
Yep.
Right. So it gives you a similar look to, it's not exactly the same as cards, but it's similar.
Yep.
And you can do that first off by having really big ass buttons like we did. But there's also, I want to say, is there not? I thought there was a minimum height. Maybe not. I thought there was a way to force the height to be taller. No, that's another template. Anyway, but as you add buttons,
I'll make it taller.
It'll extend down. Exactly.
Yep.
And if you stack a couple of them vertically, then you'll get to where you're wanting to go, or really, really close.
It's super great. I appreciate the time the last two sessions. Appreciate y'all hanging with that. And thank you very much for that.
Of course. Happy to do it.
Our next question is from Mary. She wants to know how to broadcast live from Obvio to her Facebook group, and if there is a way to create a magic link for webinar registrants automatically through like a Google form or a sales page in Obvio.
Okay, the first question, in order to stream into Facebook groups from YouTube, or sorry, from Zoom, you need to use the custom RTMP destination type, because Facebook recently, to Grant's point earlier today, completely changed the integrations with groups. So whereas up until like February or whatever, you were able to stream from Zoom straight into Facebook groups using just the Facebook integration. that no longer works. And there was some misinformation originally about the fact that, oh my God, I can no longer go from Zoom into Facebook. Well, you can. It's just a little bit more complicated. So when you set up your Facebook Live, there's an option to use a custom stream encoder. And you have to select that option. And once you do, you're going to get a RTMP stream URL and stream key. And you're going to need both of those. And then you go into Zoom and you go to the live stream option and you select custom RTMP. And you're going to need to paste those two things into it. And then you start your stream. That'll take it from Zoom into Facebook, Facebook's setup. You then have to click a go live button from Facebook in order to actually go live. So it is a little bit more complicated, right? It sounds a little bit more techy than how it used to be, where all you need to do is just click live stream, click Facebook, change it to groups, select your group, and go live. So it's definitely a little bit harder, but it's still 100% doable. What was the second part of that?
She wanted to know if there was a way to create a magic link for webinar registrants automatically, either through a Google form or from the sales page in Obvio.
So, sorry, the first part of it one more time, a webinar register, the magic links or?
Yeah, the magic links for any of the registrants automatically. It seems that she wants it through like a Google form or a sales page in Obvio. Like if you don't have something, I'm guessing.
So I'm gonna Mary, if you're looking at this is for a free event, right? Just thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. So what I would probably do is I would, in your case, given what you're describing, if you're willing to just do a Google form, meaning you don't really care what it looks like, you just want it to be pretty easy, I would use the sign up feature inside of Obvio. So what that looks like is sign up. You need to enable the sign up page. And once you do, you're going to get a little URL right here. And you're going to need to right click on that and click copy. And now your sign up page, it's going to look very much like your login page does, except it'll have first name, last name, and email address, and you click sign up. And when you do that, that redirects you automatically right onto the dashboard. Okay, so that's number one. And then number two, the second part of that, you're probably going to want to go into communication and click welcome email. And you're going to want to enable the welcome email and send a login URL in through that welcome email. And then enable it and save it, and that'll do it. And that way you can still customize it a little bit, right? Like you can make the page look like your login page, so your logo can be there. On the sign up page designer, there's where I just had fill in the form below to access the event. You can customize that text. You can't style it, but you can make some changes to it. And then the sign up page, you can change the color of, and so on and so forth. You can also require a phone number on that field or on that sign up page. If you go to page settings, there's an option to collect a phone number and make that required. So there's a few little options, but for free events and for something very simple, the sign up page is your easiest bet. Cool. What's next?
The next one, this is from Catherine, but she has a question about Obi. Is this something you want to address on this call or save it for a leap call?
Why don't we save it till the end?
Okay.
But yeah, I'll answer it on this call. It's fine.
All right. Onric said, can you guys give me a quick sound fix suggestion as the Zoom background noise suppression kills the sound of any music, applause, etc. But I have to keep it on as my studio has fans and noise. He has a Rodecaster Pro 2 or Vocecaster 2.
Rodecaster.
Ideas.
Yeah. you need to make sure that you turn on original sound for musicians. But when you turn on original sound for musicians, you just leave echo suppression turned on.
What I'm saying, maybe I wrote that wrong. I haven't ordered the Rodecaster Pro yet because I'm not sure if it will actually do what I need it to do, which is allow the music and the sound clips and those kind of things to come through, but kill out the background noise. So I just thought, you guys are using this stuff all the time. Maybe you can make a recommendation.
Yeah, I would say to you that it doesn't. The Rodecaster doesn't do noise suppression, so
Okay.
that's not a feature it has. There is, I think Grant skipped out.
Yeah, yes.
I'm here. Two things quickly. One you could do screen share audio, like advanced sharing audio, do all your music and applause and stuff all through that. And then continue to just do your talking through Zoom normal audio, right? So that would give you the best of both worlds with no hardware requirement. The other thing would be the sound devices, mix pre with the noise assist. So that's a heavy hardware approach.
No, because
but the other way would, yeah.
Like Lion's sound earlier, right? I mean, his sound was just like phenomenal, right? And
that was the microphone more than it was anything else going on.
Yeah, because the conflict is like you've got all this background noise, or you have all your sound clips muted. And I'm playing my sound clips from a different computer through these, the Stream Deck buttons and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought,
what microphone are you using, Rick?
I've got a Shure microphone and I've got the little lapel microphones.
So the lapel microphone is going to be your problem. Okay. Because generally speaking, those lapel microphones are what's called omnidirectional, so that they basically pick up everything, right? Doesn't matter if you're in front of it, behind it, or to the left or to the right. In an ideal world, what you probably like, I actually think that you should try turning on inside of Zoom, turning on original sound for musicians. But when you do, leave echo cancellation turned on and see what that sounds like. Okay, so you turn on original sound for musicians. You don't need high fidelity music mode, but you can turn it on, doesn't matter. Make sure echo cancellation is on. And then I generally turn off stereo audio because I don't think it matters. But you don't have to. You can do it either way. And then see how that sounds. Like, is the background noise that you have in your studio a problem with that? If it is, then the next, I mean, what I would probably be doing if that was the case, you're probably looking at the sound devices mix pre that has noise assist built into it, which I don't remember which one does off the top of my head. I've been looking for it.
Mix Pre 3 does they all do, I think, but the Mix Pre 3 you can do it on. But the other thing, Henrik, you said is that you're playing all those sound effects and everything from another computer. I would join that other computer to Zoom directly, and now you play all your sound effects through that with no, with original sound turned on, and then still have you're talking through another computer with all of the voice processing that Zoom does. So now you've got the best of both worlds, and you just have that computer joined directly. We often do that for sound because it doesn't matter at that point where the sound's coming from, right?
I hadn't thought of that because I'm pushing the the audio and the video from that computer via HDMI through the ATEM Mini into my sound, and yeah, it's really kind of a little messy.
Yeah,
but I hadn't thought of putting it into a.
There's a couple of approaches there.
Yeah. I'll play with that. That's a good idea. Thank you for that, Grant.
Cool.
All right, Heather, next up.
The next one's also from Onric. He has a production question about Ecamm versus OBS for his small studio, if you have any advice.
OBS is more advanced and will give you way more features. Ecamm is a little bit easier to use and a paid product, obviously. So I think generally my experience in using them, and I don't use either one of them very much, but I think Ecamm is a little bit more stable than OBS.
It's like I was looking at Lion's stuff. I mean, he's got some really cool toys there. I'm jealous, but then again, I need more distractions, like a hole in the head, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, I'm gonna join his course and learn how to do Ecamm, I think.
Yeah, Ecamm is pretty awesome. There's yeah, it's an awesome tool. Next up.
This is the OB question from Catherine.
Okay.
So she's not sure if this is in a future lesson, but we'll be able to ask OB our own questions instead of just the questions on the template. Or is this the bit that I might not have mastered yet?
Yeah, no, the short answer is eventually. So, Catherine, what our goal is with OB is to continue to build it out to the point where it can do the following. It can, number one, help you with your right fit client, which is where it is right now. It can help you with your offer, and it's halfway there right now. The second half, the actual structure of your offer, is coming next. Then from there, the ability to support you in creating a program at a glance, a PAG for your event, that's next. And then from there, start to provide you with messaging for your event. So, emails, social media posts, things like that. From there, the goal is to be able to get it to a point where you have a couple of different things that you can do. A concept that we have currently is the ability for you to talk to OB as though it's your right fit client. So basically say to OB, take on the personality of my right fit client. This is who my right fit client is. This is their dreams and desires. This is their challenges. This is their, their desired outcome statement, all of those things. Now, based on that person, I want to have a conversation, like act as if you are that person. And then for you to just be able to say, if you were grocery shopping, what would you go buy? Again, whatever, but basically be able to have a back and forth the same way you would if you created a custom GPT inside of ChatGPT, essentially that way. The other intention is for you to be able to have conversations with OB as though it's OB and knows your event and knows your everything that you've put into it, right? It knows your high ticket offer. It knows your right fit client. It knows how you're marketing your event. It knows the structure of your PAG. And for you to then be able to say, like, can you write me an email inviting my right fit client to my event using persuasive tactics, right? And you just like type that into OB and for it to spit out a response for you the same way ChatGPT does, or Claude or any one of the other AI tools, when you just go there and start typing. The difference being that OB will have the contextual information of knowing who your right fit client is, of knowing what your offer is, of knowing what your PAG looks like, of knowing, what some of your core messaging sounds like. And then it'll have some additional context from a marketing perspective and from a strategy perspective from us, right? So there'll be a good amount of context that's provided to Obi. I would say to you that is probably early next year. So we're a ways away. That we have some pretty big, lofty goals for Obi in the meantime. But once that happens, we've already started having conversations around how to get it to a point where it becomes conversational and isn't just doing the things that it's doing right now, right? But again, the intention is always going to be for you to have to go through those steps before the conversation mode kind of activates, right? Because otherwise you're just interacting with ChatGPT, and you may as well go to chatgpt.com and be done, right? Because yeah, I think the context is super important.
And that's all we have.
All right. Well, guys, that's 6:56 p.m. A solid 1 hour and 56 minutes, 4 minutes shy of our 2 hours. But hopefully this was helpful for you. Thanks for asking great questions. Both those of you who are just starting out, some of you who are a little bit more advanced, and some of you who I would say are experts. It's always fun to answer questions at any level. So remember, going forward, you don't have to be at a certain point in order to ask a specific question, right? Asking, how do I get into my organization? It's a perfectly reasonable question. That's why we do these calls, right? To help you get to wherever you need to be and to help you overcome the problem that you're having right now. So with that, thanks, y'all. You can reach the support team by going to the live chat icon inside the app, inside of Obvio. And live chat is available between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time. You can also email us at help@obv.io. And you can also always go to the Facebook group, which, if memory serves, is linked on the dashboard that got you into this page. So there you go. Lots of opportunities to get your questions answered before next Wednesday. But otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everyone.